So just to give you a little bit of background and concept of this project, Clave Con Blue, I grew up in New York City. Born in New York City, Puerto Rican parents. My mother was a bass player. My grandfather also a bass player. We lost him about 20 years ago, but my grandfather actually gave me my first music lesson, and I grew up with a musical family. And growing up in New York City, I was able to appreciate not just the Latin music, but all genres of music. You know, jazz, pop, rock, funk, even classical music, and then all of the different genres in Latin music, merengue, reggaeton, Cuban music, which was a very big influence. That my mother influenced me with Cuban music from a very, very young age. From what I understand, one of the first records that I was actually singing harmony to was Eddie Palmieri's Son of Latin Music. But anyway, point being is that growing up in New York City is like a melting pot of all of these genres, and I was able to appreciate and capture a lot of it. I was able to perform in a lot of these different genres as well. And with that being said, you know, I've been working on this project for a number of years. I wanted to put out a CD almost 20 years ago, but it's been difficult, of course. But now in these recent years that I've had the necessities to put a CD together like this.
I first met Richie in the mid-90s when I relocated to New York. And over the last 25, 30 years or so, we've had numerous times that we collaborated in different bands in live performance situation. And then later, when I established myself as an arranger producer, I had many opportunities to work with Richie in the studio. I've been living in Florida now for a few years, so I hadn't seen Richie for quite a while. So it was a surprise when he called me up and he asked me if I would take a listen to the project he was working on, Clave Con Blue, which is an excellent record. I really recommend this recording to everyone. But I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if it was a Latin jazz record, if it was going to be a pop record or salsa. But when I got a chance to hear it and hear that the album is a blend of all our musical experiences that we had in New York, it was really a treat to hear. And his playing is superb, and the arrangements on the album are excellent. And I think it's going to be an album that everyone will enjoy.
Mike and I were young musicians in New York City playing together in the 90s with a bunch of bands all over town, and he was producing a bunch of music as well. And he would call me to record trumpet parts on a lot of those productions. I was really grateful to him for that. Fast forward to not too long ago, I learned he moved to South Florida, where he was still performing, he was still playing, producing, and teaching. And I get him on the phone after not talking to him for many years, and I let him know about the project, and I asked him if there was anything he could do for me. He goes, all right, send me the music, I'll give it a listen, and I'll get back to you. Well, you know, when somebody says I'll get back to you, it's like, cross your fingers and pray for the best. Well, anyway, 2 nights later, at around midnight, he gives me a call talking about, okay, Richie, you ready to talk? And at that time, I had Shallow out as a single, and it was being distributed by DistroKid. And he asks me, well, who's distributing Shallow? And I go, well, it's one of the internet distributors, DistroKid. And he goes, oh, no, this music is fantastic. Let's get you some real distribution. And that is how the Sony Orchard door opened up for us, thanks to Mike. So I'm hanging out with a buddy of mine here in Dallas who owns a cigar shop. He's a retired percussionist and music promoter from back in the day. His name is Willie Martinez. And he's also a big-time music fan. So we're hanging out one night, and I decided to share some of my music. And I let him know what I'm doing with the project. He goes, wow, man, this music is fantastic. I need to introduce you to a good friend of mine. His name is Mauricio Rodriguez. He's a Cuban bass player, producer, and arranger out of Tampa. And I really think his arranging style would fit your project to the T. And he plays me this electronic sequence of Night in Tunisia here. It's a song that he never did anything with. And so I loved it. I fell in love with it immediately. He connects me with Mauricio, and we talk about it. And being that he did nothing with the arrangement up to this point, him and I agreed to go ahead and track Night in Tunisia, put it on my record, and the tracking was a complete success.
Okay, this is my first experience working with Richie. And he called me to participate on this project, preparing some arrangement for his production. And we have a common friend in Texas. He's Willie Martinez. and he put in contact both of us, and we started working with Nine Tunisia, Raymond Nine Tunisia, and he liked it, and he asked me to prepare another arrangement, and we create the relationship that's become a friendship, and right now we are friends, and I am very glad to be invited to participate in this album. This album I have 3 arrangements, one original song which is Simon, is the name of my daughter's dog. He passed away unfortunately already, but one day I was working on my studio, and this dog was crazy and was driving me crazy, and I just stopped doing what I was doing, and I started preparing this song. And this song was prepared, I believe, from 2 hours, the theme, and the arrangement came after Richie asked me to have some original. So this part of this arrangement in Tunisia is my tribute to American music with the elements of Latin music. You know, my roots Latin music. And the third arrangement is a bolero, body and soul, in which one I experiment to go forward the rules in some part of the arrangement. So I hope you like the work.
I first met Gerardo Rodriguez when I went to see him play trumpet live with Mark Anthony. I had seen him on video playing with Mark a bunch of times, and I thought he was amazing, but I had to see it for myself live, and wow, what a phenomenal trumpet player he is. What I didn't know about Gerardo was that he was also a great engineer, and he had mixed and mastered a bunch of music for some great artists, including Mark Anthony. I think also Calderon, Richie Vee, Bobby Cruz, and a bunch of other artists. And well, anyway, shortly after that, him and I managed to have a phone conversation. I played him some of my music, and he liked it, and he agreed to mix and master Clave Con Blue. Not only that, but I got him to record some trumpet parts on some of the songs on the album as well. So I was really thrilled to get him on board.
Bueno, la primera vez que conocí a Richie Vee fue que fue a vernos a un concierto de nosotros, y ahí fue donde hicimos una amistad. Estuvimos hablando acerca de que él tenía un nuevo CD que quería trabajar, y no sé cómo fue que alguien le sugirió, porque yo también soy trompetista, pero también estudié ingeniería de sonido. Alguien le sugirió que fuera conmigo a la hora de hacer la mezcla y el máster, y bueno, ese fue el principio de cómo nos conocimos. Fue a un concierto donde yo estaba tocando. Bueno, un día recibo la llamada y era Richie que me estaba llamando, y la sorpresa mía, me dijo que quería mezclar y masterizar el disco entero conmigo, que él había escuchado varios trabajos míos y le habían encantado. Es un disco donde hay un nivel alto musicalmente, no solo musicalmente, sino también cada instrumentista que grabó el disco son instrumentistas de alto calibre, y para mí fue un privilegio de poder ser que haya mezclado y masterizado este disco. Bueno, también tuve el placer de participar como trompetista dentro de la producción, y fue una bendición grande porque que Richie también, siendo trompetista, me ha dado la oportunidad de que yo haya podido grabar también. Habla mucho de que él no está muy enfocado en solo él, sino que él está buscando un equipo de profesionales donde haya diversidad y donde pueda aportar y añadir más a su obra.
A lot of the bands that I work with, I was able to sing background vocals with these bands, but I never approached, lead vocal singing until now. And I took these songs that I grew up with, some of these songs that you're gonna hear on this CD, and I just, I threw the Latin rhythm behind it, I threw the clave rhythm behind it, and I threw my voice on top of it. And obviously also the improvisational music with the jazz, me being a trumpet player, I appreciate it. I mean, I've always appreciated big sounding brass music. I grew up on one of my first experiences listening to music was checking out Doc Severinsen and The Tonight Show. And when I saw him leading that band and singing and playing his trumpet, I said, that is what I want to do.
Yo creo que en este CD, Richie está mostrando todo su ser en sí, como todo lo que él puede hacer. No solo como instrumentista, sino como cantante, que es un excelente cantante. Me quedé sumamente impresionado con su afinación. Estuvimos grabando aquí en mi estudio y tiene una afinación como cantante increíble. No solo como cantante, sino como trompetista, como arreglista también, porque él desempeñó también un arreglo. Y fue una experiencia bien tremenda porque pude disfrutar cada uno de los géneros y en cada uno de los géneros poder desarrollar bien cada estilo, que sean respetando los estilos, pero a la misma vez que haya una uniformidad en cuanto en el disco.
This album will be a point of departure into the Latin American music.
In an era when the artists are often pigeonholed into trying to be commercial or trying to be whatever the flavor of the month is, Richie has taken this opportunity to make a very personal statement, and I think that has a lot to do with what the quality in the album. If there was ever an album that needed to be nominated for a Grammy, I think this is the album.
Clave Con Blue is definitely a personal statement of mine musically, but it's also a tribute to 38 years of working alongside some of the greatest musicians on the planet, especially the musicians that recorded on this project. It's also a testament to putting together a project during some pretty rough times. Some of it was recorded before the pandemic, but most of it was done during the pandemic. And then obviously the finishing touches were done after. I was also dealing with a pretty serious health condition during the time. And so I'm very thankful to God that I am healthy now and able to appreciate not only my efforts, but everyone else's contributions. And so with that being said, I want to take this time to thank the musicians, the artists, the composers, the arrangers, the studios and their engineers, and anyone and everyone who lent a hand in helping me out with this project. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I could not have done this without you guys. And so without any further ado, I present to you Clave Con Blue.